Okay. Oh my gosh. I was reading the notes from this. I remember when this came in and I was like, oh God, we need these people on here. And then I read it, I was like, holy shit, I need a deep dive into this thing. And I know that eventually, thanks to like your you putting everything out there, that one day we won't be this won't be shocking because it'll give people more options to know that it's okay to do it different ways. But I am, because it's my first time hearing this, and that may be really what's rude of me, but I almost fell off my chair.
Not rude.
It's okay.
You know what? Unique.
No, I'm not unique. I'm the opposite of open-minded.
No, unique, like it's a unique way of living for now. Or with that openly.
So
I think most people are going to fall off their chairs.
Yeah. I mean, look, I remember a time not too long ago where if I had heard the details of my life now, I probably would have fallen off my chair. So like, it's all, gradual and we get used to it, but
that's what you have to remind yourself. Like, the situation that you're in right now, life is long. You'd never say never.
Rachel, I have a really, I don't know if it's inappropriate, but how old are you? Just so, because I think that really does matter in terms of living, and how people are living. If you don't know, we're going to get to what we're talking about, but I want to know how old you are before we get there.
Yeah, I'm 35.
Okay.
So I'm not a baby.
No, but I feel like every 10 years, for people who are in their 40s, 35, what you guys are doing at 35 and what they're doing at 25, it is different than what used to be 25, 35, 45. Does that make sense? Like, the age 100%. Matters right now.
Yes. Yeah, like now we talk about our kids, and we're never going to assume that, number one, they're going to have to choose any title at all, or that they're going to, like, it's not like, oh, when you get married to, I can't wait to see who my daughter-in-law is going to be. It's like, oh, everybody.
So hot tip, if you don't know what we're talking about, get ready. This is Rachel, and well, go ahead, Natalie.
Okay, I'm gonna do this. Isn't there someone named Rachel Wright Penn?
Yeah, different first name.
Different.
Robin. Okay, got
Robin.
it. Okay, here's the intro. We have Rachel Wright on our podcast today, and we're really excited about this conversation. It's about her personal story because it's just so juicy. Rachel has her master's degree in clinical psychology and runs her own psychotherapy practice for couples, non-traditional relationships, individuals, and is also a trusted voice in the sexual wellness and relationship media space. She hosts her own show, The Wright Conversations. Get ready? Rachel and her wife, Ashley, are now both pregnant. Their babies are due 11 weeks apart, and they're expecting their triad first and second children along with their third partner. Ear?
It's Hebrew. It's like and then ear.
Ear. Okay. All right.
So just so we know, he is the father of both children.
Yes. Yeah, he's the biological dad of both kids.
And did you guys? I never know with like fertility, like what sometimes
you can ask me anything.
Okay, can ask me. So did you the three of you try to make it so that it happened around the same time?
Yes.
And it freaking worked?
And it worked. It was looking a little, as anybody who's gone through trying to conceive process knows, like every cycle is like, whew, okay. And it feels a lot longer often than what it actually is. So, every cycle that came around once I was pregnant felt like, oh no, are we going to get to do this like we wanted to? And it happened. So we're about a trimester apart and just so excited. I can't make a biological baby with Ashley, which is unfortunate. So this is what we get to do together, and we get to be pregnant together and be moms together, and it's amazing.
Is he in the relationship as like a traditional male partner to both of you, or is there primary relationships within a triad?
So no, it is totally not hierarchical. The three of us are completely even, I guess people would describe it as. The two of them did know each other before I came along after.
I feel like we should start from the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. And then we can have the background of how these three ended up together.
You got it. All right. So I'll be as short as I possibly can. We met online, which is hilarious because
Wait, who met online?
I met Yair online first. And my partner at the time and I were non-monogamous, as were Ashley and Yair. Yair and I met. We started talking very quickly. Ashley introduced herself to me. I thought Ashley was unbelievably gorgeous, funny, amazing. We connected. I introduced my then partner to them, and the four of us all started dating.
Okay. I like that background because like I didn't quite know. I thought it was sort of like her and her mark and me and my mark, like in like traditional relationships. And then all of a sudden we all just got friendly and it all worked. So you were both couples were in non-monogamous relationships.
Yes.
Because I was thinking, how did they convince all four of them to be a part of this? Okay, so that makes more sense. Okay.
I mean, I will say that like while we were all non-monogamous, none of us were looking to uproot our kind of like foundational structure. You know, I never really imagined that I would be living with someone else or that I would share a bank account with other people. Like it was non-monogamy in the sense of we were not monogamous and we were dating other people and having relationships with other people, whether that was platonic or sexual or romantic or a combination. But I certainly did not expect to like find two life partners. That was like not in the vision board. And that's
how
what
long
we found.
had each couple been together?
Kyle and I had been together for about 7 or 8 years at that time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And the other couple?
Ashley and Yair were together for probably like 5 or 6 years. 6.
Okay.
Yeah. So these were like very well established. This was not like a, new thing. And so we all started dating. And by all of us, I'll clarify, Kyle and Yair were never romantically or sexually involved, though we operated as kind of a unit. So Ashley and I are both queer, so we are in relationship with each other. And I am also in relationship with Yair. I was in relationship with Kyle. I can give that overview in a second. And then Ashley was also, again, with all three. And then each guy was with each of us, the women. But they were very, very, very close.
They're okay. And did you ended up living together?
Yeah. So about a year, it was about a year and a half into dating, we all moved in together, which again was like not part of what I had ever imagined. But similar to, a monogamous relationship where you're like, I'm looking for this. And then you meet somebody and you're like, I guess I'm doing this now because that's what's here. And like, that's what feels good. And that's what is seemingly coming up in this situation. That's what happened. And so we all moved in together.
4 bedrooms or a California king?
A little bit of both. It's a house and there's 2 primary bedrooms. So, and then two other bedrooms, but really 2 primary bedrooms. And we all kind of rotated around for sleeping.
Don't you have like, I would just think that I would like naturally just prefer one over time, but I guess you say it's equal.
Yeah, not me. I mean, and maybe somebody would, I think
right.
For me, I experience non-monogamy, polyamory as an orientation. So in the same way that like I'm queer and I have red hair and that's how I was born, that's how I experience non-monogamy. For some people, it's a total choice. They're like, I could take it or leave it. I don't know. And then for other people, they experience monogamy as their orientation, right? They're like, I literally can't fathom being in love with more than one person or having this type of relationship with more than one person. But in reality, we all kind of do, right? Like people have more than one child. People have more than one friend. People have more, like in every other type of relationship that we have, it is the social norm to love more than one person and recognize that we're going to get different things from different people in relationships. But with romance and sex, the norm is monogamy. And so it's like, on shows like The Bachelor, right? We hear like, I can't believe I fell in love with two people. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, like they're different. And ultimately that show, the goal is monogamy. So they pick one and that's fine. But yeah, it's not so crazy. Like we do this with friends constantly.
That's right. That's like those bachelors and those bachelorettes should be like, maybe I should open up my mind to loving more than one, because they've all proven that they can.
Wow.
Yep.
Hold on. Let's take a quick break and we'll go on that. I think what the thing is, people think of relationships, and you probably have to clarify this a lot, that it's only sex, right? People hear about like non-monogamy and they're like, so the sex, it goes right to that. And is that, how much of that is, what percentage of the relationship is that versus everything else?
It's different for different people, in the same way that one person's monogamous relationship might have a lot of sexuality and another one might not.
Like, do you all have to have the same sexual
appetite?
Yeah, or no, you don't, because you're connected on more than just sex.
Oh yeah, I mean these
they're in that.
If you think
I'm saying for people who might not, because I think that's what everyone thinks.
Yeah. No, the assumption is almost always, before anybody learns anything, is like, well, this is just for sex. And I do want to be clear, like some people are non-monogamous for outside sexual experiences. And that's perfectly fine, right? Like that's kind of what swinging is.
And cheating.
And cheating, though that is not consensual.
No, I'm just saying, a lot of people are in non-monogamous relationships. They don't know it. So it's not like it's not a norm. It's just not consensual for the other person.
Exactly. And in the case of, me, like if I'm personally looking for something outside of my home relationship, regardless of whether that's 2, 3, 4 people, it could depend. I might be looking for a sexual experience. I might be looking for a romantic partnership. It just varies. So for us, like the best way to describe it would be a typical long-term partnership that we're all kind of used to seeing, but there's 3 of us and not 2. So like the balance of sex and emotions and house chores and childcare and taking care of our dog and, going on vacation, all of that shit is the exact same.
Are you still non-monogamous?
Oh, yeah.
Are you?
All 3 of you.
All 3 of you are still not. So there's an ability to go have, but not relationships, just non-monogamous.
They can have romance outside too.
No, there are relationships. In fact, I am the only one out of the 3 of us that currently doesn't have a partner outside of our triad right now. So both Ashley and Yair have other partners outside of me.
How do you mentally have space?
We're all talking about something that we, the 3 of us, know, but the listeners are like, where the fuck did Kyle go?
Yeah. Yeah, let me circle back to that. So first of all, hi Kyle, if you're listening to this. Kyle and I are on wonderful, wonderful terms. We were together for about a decade when we decided to split up. And that was a mutual decision on everybody's part. It was a group discussion after many, 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 many hours and tears and figuring things out. We were ready to move into child rearing and moving into like a next phase of life. And Kyle was not. And that combined with a few other things, the relationship was successful for 10 years and it was no longer serving us in the way that we wanted it to. So we all split up and he is living in Brooklyn and kicking butt as doing what he's doing. And he is so incredibly supportive of these babies, of our relationship. We interact pretty frequently. He was my best friend for like a decade. He's an important person to me. But we're no longer in partnership.
Wow, that's so nice.
What kind of things? I mean, I think that there's so much that I think a lot of people have relationships that aren't sexual outside of their marriage, right? That are outside of their monogamous relationship that are very accepted and very traditional and, friendship and, having the moms groups that you go to all the time. In terms of like motherhood and this next step, How it like is there constant conversation about what's happening, how everyone's feeling? Like how does the because just what two people relationships are so complicated and there's so much history and life between everybody. The thought of having a third person to negotiate, I don't know, feels a little bit crazy.
Yes, but I'm going to add a side note before she answers. I'm so jealous that they get to live it and do it, because we ended up making it happen for us, basically living together, sleeping at home, but doing babies together. And
But I'm not sleeping. We're not having sex.
yeah, but
Because sex complicates a lot, right? Sex for many complicates lots.
For some people it does. I would
Mhm.
say for me it simplifies things. And again, like we're all wired differently. So like to me, somebody who I have sex with is not more excuse me, is not more important to me than someone I don't have sex with. Right? Like my my closest friend is not less of a priority to me because we don't lick each other's genitals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So
I
like,
like that you went there and looked at each other.
Totally.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we get that. We totally get that. Right. We have that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about all of your families adopting this, which I don't know where you're all from, but I would say that I would be surprised to say that all of your parents are like, oh my gosh, totally good. We're good with this. No problem. Grandma's going to love this story.
So
How do you
I
all
gotta
deal with that?
I gotta say, now, like currently in April of 2024, that is where everybody is.
All of
Which
the
is-
three families.
Yes, all of them. Now, it was not gung ho that way from conversation number one. And I think it's also important to name that like we do a lot of communication. Like you mentioned before, the amount of like talking and how is this feeling and what are we doing and blah, blah, blah. That's the level of communication that I personally, especially as a therapist and like a deeply feeling human, I was bringing that into my monogamous relationships. I was trying to bring that into my platonic relationships, my friendships, my family relationships. Like that's just how I function. So yes, does it add more time to like have a third person in a meeting that like would be two people? Sure. It's also really helpful sometimes to have a third person's perspective when like two of you are like, I don't know, we're kind of bickering about this, and the third one's like, you guys are being idiots. Like, did you not just hear what the other person said? And it's actually really helpful sometimes. So our parents have very different backgrounds. We're all from really different places. I'm originally from California. Yair is from Manhattan, born and raised. Ashley's originally from Florida. And Yair's parents are still together. Mine and Ashley's are both divorced. And some are remarried, some aren't. So there's like a web of extended family and parents going on. And, you know, they're all coming to the baby shower. They're all incredibly excited and, you know, refer to their two grandchildren coming. It's not like, oh, my one that's from you and then this other one that's going to like be in your house. Like it's very much like my two grandkids. And, you know, they all have different levels of involvement in how many details they want about things or how close their relationships are to, you know, the others. But again, it's so similar to like, I've dated people in the past in monogamous relationships where their parents weren't really involved in our lives. And then I've dated people where like their parents were like, let me come over every Sunday and I want to hear what's going on, you know, and it's kind of similar to that. It doesn't feel different based on the non-monogamy aspect. It feels different based on like who the parent is and where they live and how much they're interested in being involved.
You know, we have a lot of shows like TLC, the Sister Wives, right? So there's a lot of narrative where there's like a man who's in charge, and then there's jealousy, and they have their intricate relationships, and you know, a lot of it is about they have more attention on this one, and that's the favorite. And I think that how evolved are all three of you as people that you can not be jealous of the other one or not, because I'm assuming within the relationships you all have different connections in different. Are all three of you ever all together? Like, is it all?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, as much as we can with work schedules and life. Yeah.
And even like sex too.
Yeah,
three.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's not like one day, then there's not like a
No,
rotating schedule.
we do rotate the sleep schedules because frankly, it is so uncomfortable to sleep 3 people in a
Yes.
bed. Like the middle person is just hot and gross and can't roll around.
Especially pregnant.
Yes. Oh my God. Don't. Well, yeah, no. hard pass on that. But literally aside from sleeping, we will try to be together, except for date nights that we have for dyads, right? So like, let's say Thursday
Wait,
night.
did she say dyad?
Yes.
What was that?
Dyad is a pair, like 2. Dyad versus triad.
You're in a dyad.
You're in a dyad
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thruple's gone. That word's gone.
I mean, it's not gone.
Okay.
I think it's just, I think the word thruple elicits a response from people.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. It seems like a sexual situation rather than a relationship.
Yes.
Okay, fair.
I was wondering, just if anybody's listening who's like, I love hearing this, like I'm,
This resonates. I like
resonates
this.
with me. Out of curiosity, and there might not be like an answer to this that makes sense, but I'm just thinking, Kat and I come from like, divorced families, remarried, kids from all, like very like open families. Was it harder for Yair's parents family, because they were like always still married, like in a very traditional setting? Was it harder for them, or is it really just the personality of the person? It's not necessarily like I'm thinking like for us, I feel like we could tell our parents anything, they'd be like, great, we love you. But I would feel like if your parents were like married and only done that it would be harder.
Yeah, that's actually that's a great question, and I think that could certainly play out that way. It didn't happen to play out that way with his family. They're super open-minded. At first there were like questions about what was going on, and like who I was. It was like, why is this lady here?
Oh, right, because they had a traditional. Yeah,
Yeah,
were new.
I mean, and they frankly weren't, Yair and Ashley weren't sharing so much about their non-monogamy prior to me and Kyle being around. So for some of the people that were finding out, his parents included, they were like, wow, we just learned a whole lot of information. Like we learned that you're non-monogamous. We now know that Ashley is queer, and we learned, like, it was just a lot. Whereas for my family, they knew I was non-monogamous. They knew I was queer. So like the only shift was like, I met people who my life is changing around. And so like for different people, there were like these varying degrees of like, whoa. And so like that kind of also informed the timeline to which people were like, oh, okay. And like now, I was just up in Toronto with Yair's family for Passover. And it's, I feel just a part of the family as, Ashley does. And we don't get weird looks or like, it just is. And I've heard from a lot of people, our parents included, that like once you're around us, even for like a dinner, the overall sentiment is like, oh, this just is normal.
Just get over it. You just get over it.
And we never let transfer the question about like jealousy or feeling like, but I will say, I feel like that was the first thing too, when people used to get artificially inseminated, and people used to be like, they did that. And now it's very,
so true.
And now it's kind of like, it's like, are you going to, all right. So I feel like you're right. It is, when you begin to know people and normalize it, it's not like, what do you mean? It's
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, remember when people came out as gay in 1955 and they're like, this alternative lifestyle. And now it's like, oh, are you gay? You should, like, what's going on? It's just,
who you like?
So no jealousy. There's no feeling of insecurity.
Of course there's jealousy and insecurity. Jealousy and insecurity are human emotions. It's like, if you're in a monogamous relationship, do you not feel jealous? Do you not feel insecure? Like, their jealousy and insecurity is about us, right? Like, It has nothing to do, a lot of the time, sometimes it does. A lot of the time it has nothing to do with the stability of the relationship or the comfort of the relationship. It has to do with ourselves, right? So like if this pregnancy, for example, I'm not going out and drinking or doing whatever I want to do substance-wise. So if Yair can go out with someone, be it a friend, a partner, doesn't really matter who, and is like, I'm just going to go have like 5 beers. He doesn't do this, but this is whatever. Okay. I'm just going to go out and like have some beers and let loose. I might feel envious of that because I can't do it right now. And then I might feel insecure, like, oh, like I can't access this part of me with him right now. And that makes me sad. And so I'm feeling jealous because it feels like this person is somehow like a threat to this thing that we shared. But that's not about the stability of the relationship or anything like that. It's like, I want to do the thing and I can't.
I can't have it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like that can happen, right? If Ashley and Yair have date night and they go to a restaurant that I've been wanting to try, I might feel envious, but that's okay.
That's a you thing. That's not a them thing.
That's a me thing, right? And unless I have an ask like, hey, can we save this restaurant for the 3 of us to go to? I really want to go. Sure, then probably they'll save it, right? And we'll all go together. But if I don't say anything, that's not up to them. So like, of course, jealousy and insecurity exists, but the ability to work through those emotions and like learn how to sit with some of it and learn where it's coming from has been such a gift in my life.
They're so evolved.
That's what I said. They have to be so evolved to have, because you have to even know that you're jealous or insecure about, right? So that's what I mean. Like, I think a lot of monogamous relationships that I know of in our world, in our community that I know of, women, you would be the heavy lifter of the relationship. And you would be the one who's like, guys, let's talk about, I'm sensing that there's something going on. I'm going to plan date night. You know, it would be you. And so,
being the woman,
being her. It would actually be Rachel in if she was in a monogamous relationship. I'm talking. She would be the one who's like, something's not right. I'm feeling like you would give them grace, knowing it was your issue, not theirs. Where not everyone, it would become the other person's issue very quickly, and a lot of things would go on there. So how did you? Are the 3 of them as reflective and self-aware? Because I think that's where most relationships break down, is your own
were they naturally like that, or did you have to help them get there because you are a therapist?
That's a really great question. A little bit of both. I would say that they were naturally like that, and I helped them, especially at the beginning, with like some communication structure and tools and identification, and then it reversed. Then I started having like and freaking out. And I was having a hard time, especially around when the Kyle stuff started going on. You know, I was feeling like really destabilized when we were first kind of starting to decouple, and feeling like, oh my gosh, if he leaves, I'm the like other person here all of a sudden. You know, I'm the one that is newest, and I'm the one that's this. And it was really, it created a lot of feelings in me that I was not familiar with and that I was not used to dealing with. And so there we were, my 2 partners helping me for like a year, really gain stability back in my day-to-day life, in my relationships. So it has alternated, you know, and I think that the biggest thing is that the 3 of us are so deeply committed to working on things, whether that is ourselves, whether that is a relationship thing. Never once, and I don't use the word never often, has one of us been like, no, I won't do that thing that could help. We are all very, very pro therapy. We're pro talking to friends and family. We're pro doing whatever it is that we need to do to help make the thing better, and to heal the thing.
Is that like a common theme in people's relationships, that it's like it's always the other person's fault? Because it sounds like you all take a lot of your own responsibility, and I'm assuming, you know, it sort of amplifies what you're saying with 3, just amplifies what you should be doing with 2, but you can probably get away with it a lot easier not doing it because there's 2 of you and someone can just kind of make it better. Is the theme that, in relationships, for them to be successful, both of you have to be like, I've got shit, you've got shit, we can figure this shit out. Not one person just always has to have the shit.
Yes. And that's exactly, when I'm talking about like, it's basically a 2-person relationship, but with 3, you nailed it. Like, that's exactly what I'm saying. And as a therapist that like has specialized in couples for a really long time, it is very common for one person to kind of fall into this role of like, I'm the problem, I'm the one that needs to fix this thing. And then the other person saying like, yeah, you are the problem, and it's like, yes, we all have our own things that we can adjust and shift and change and blah, 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 blah. And there's like a relational thing going on too. And so it's very rare that like the other person has 0 impact or responsibility in something that's coming up in a relationship. But the person who like is bringing the thing forward, they got to be able to step up and say like, I take responsibility for healing this, right? Like, I see this a lot with like pop psychology stuff. People will be like, I'm triggered. You broke my boundary. That's not my attachment style. And they're
You're
like
gaslighting me.
Words that like don't mean what they think they mean. And like people use the word triggered as like an excuse to like be a dick. It's just like, it's so messy out there. And like being triggered is a real thing. And that doesn't.
What did you call that? Pop
psychology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I have had a question that I wanted to
Did we
make
take a
sure
second break?
Break.
No, I don't know if we did. I can't remember.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember taking the first break.
No, yeah, we did.
Okay, second break. Okay. There's 2. Okay, the first one was it was back when. Is it your business when you say that Ashley and Yair's have other partners? Is it your business to know who they are?
In our relationship structure, yes. So we have relationship agreements that then, of course, those other people know about.
Are they contracts written on paper?
No, we just call it a lot of people. A lot of people use the word rules. Like, what are you allowed to do? And it's like, these are not my parents. Like, this is not. We're not setting rules for each other. We're creating agreements as peers in a relationship. So our relationship agreements include, disclosing things like who we're seeing.
Okay.
And in our case, with these people currently, I have a relationship, not a romantic or sexual relationship, but I have a relationship with each of these other people. And they're wonderful and I like them a lot. And, one of them has been around longer than the other. And like that person and I are actually quite close. And like, I value them as a dear friend in my life. And so it's really nice, if they want to come over to the house and hang out, it's like, yeah, come on over. It's just like, it feels really good. It's like meeting your partner's best friend in a way, right? Like it's, yeah.
How will this change, do you think, with children involved in terms of it being, who comes into the house or who is is this going to change the dynamic? And, or I guess you don't know till you have the baby.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that it's like, I don't fucking know. Like some people.
Yeah, fair.
Like, do you think you'll go out as much? And I'm like, well, I'm guessing not, but I can't tell you how that will shift. In terms of, other partners meeting the kids, the way that I look at it is I have had so many friends, and I think a lot of us could probably relate to this. I have had so many friends in my life that I'm like, this person's going to be in my life for a long time. Fast forward a year later and like, I don't talk to them, right? Like not because something terrible happened, but like life is life and friends come and go. And so I'm not so worried about like introducing them to a friend, to a partner, of a partner, and then having them like not
be there.
This isn't a step parent. This is like, mommy's friend.
Totally.
And especially as babies, like they don't more love and more care is more love and more care. Like they don't even.
Your baby's gonna have 2 moms and 1 dad. Why do you think it's really important? Like right now you're on our podcast, you have your show. Do you feel like it's important for you to share this story and for other people to hear, and like why?
Oh man. Yes, I absolutely do. And I often get the question of like, as a therapist, why do you share so much about your personal life? Which is a valid question because a lot of times therapists are not um, open around their own lives, right? They want to keep more of this like blank slate kind of idea. And I kind of have the opposite perspective, which I know that there are other therapists out there that share this with me, which is I'm a human. And part of healing and growth is learning about other people's human experiences and seeing somebody living in a way that is different from you is really helpful in understanding things outside of our own bubbles. You know, especially with social media, we all live in echo chambers. Like, no matter where you fall politically, socially, like, we just hear the same stuff over and over and over again. And that can be really scary, zoomed out. And so it's important to me to share who I am, what's going on, to like, normalize it. Like, I'm just a person. I have insecurities and feelings, and I get sad and jealous, and I don't communicate perfectly all the time, even though I teach people to communicate well. Like, I'm just a person. And my career is in therapy and education, and I'm polyamorous. And like, these are all aspects of me. And I think that the more that we can all feel comfortable to talk about all aspects of ourselves, the better the world will be. Like, so much hate is out of ignorance, and we can't not be ignorant if we don't know what's going on and learn. And so it has to start somewhere. And I think that a really accessible place for that to start is self-disclosure.
Yeah. I think also, too, if people really thought about it and didn't get so caught into the one way history, like if you go back to the days of when people, it was usually women all lived together and there was a man and they lived together alongside each other, and it wasn't a monogamous relationship, right? So if you look at where it started, it's not that far from where it is now in terms of how we live, because we've only isolated monogamy, really isolated women and put them in a place that made life really hard. Where when you have more support, if you take out what everyone perceives the sexual side of it, if you look at the support of living together, you know, most cultures outside of North America live together with family and friends and in a community and rely on each other. It's not so unique if you look big picture at what you're doing. It's actually really fucking smart.
Oh my gosh, I know.
You know?
And when I asked you about like telling your story, and when you explained it like that, it kind of reminds me of why we started doing what we were doing, was that we felt that people weren't talking about the truth behind motherhood and showing all the things that aren't perfect, and hearing everybody else's stories and sharing their stories. It's the same thing. It's like there is
well, think how many people are living in non-monogamous relationships without it being consensual. So they're just doing it, and maybe the person would consent if it was a conversation like you're having, and you're like, oh, actually we could make it work like this.
Yeah. And when people asked in the beginning, I'm not trying to turn this back, talk about us, but I feel like it's the same idea, is that when people asked our kids in the beginning, what do your moms do for work? It's hard to explain what we do. But I remember when our kids said, my mom helps other moms. And even though we weren't a doctor and we weren't a therapist, just sharing the stories makes other people feel less alone. And so you doing that, it's the same thing. You're creating more space for people to feel like less lonely and less like weird, and it's actually like your mission of talking about it is going to, it can help change the world.
Thank you. And so can yours. I mean, look, even in this pregnancy, there have been so many things. Like, I educate people around sex. I know a lot about the body and reproduction, and I've been teaching this for a long time. And almost daily, there is something that happens in my own body that I'm like, what on earth is going on?
Yeah. Puffer
And
fish
the
down
amount,
there, you know?
right? Like, the amount of things that are not talked about that happen during pregnancy, or the ripples from what happens during pregnancy. Like, So we just need to talk more about all of this.
And I think I just want to say that I feel like I don't know Ashley and I don't know Yair, but I feel like your baby's gonna be really lucky to have you as a mom, because you're just
Two moms.
And you're so open-minded, you're so good at communicating. And
Who has their baby first?
I'm due first.
Okay.
Yeah,
you know what? That's a way to go, because I don't know if I'd want to know. When I got to the hospital,
right.
I didn't I don't know. I didn't go to the classes, and I was in the triage room, and someone ended up having a baby beside me, like in the triage room. And dead serious. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing
out now.
He goes, you have to do this. I go, I'm not. I had like a full. I'm take me home. I'm like, I'm going home. He's like, you can't go home. I'm like, I'm going home. I'm not doing this. I think they were like, get her in a room immediately before she walks out the door. I'm like, no, please no.
You know that when Cat and I went to go have her second and my third, we literally did what you guys did. We just didn't tell our husbands the plan. We're like, let's go get pregnant together in the house. We can have our babies
and
together.
they're 2 weeks apart.
Yeah. And it worked. Like,
we were young. We didn't know it just happened. Like we didn't know the struggles because people didn't talk about it. Yeah. There was no Instagram about infertility, and we were like,
let's go try and get pregnant. Oh my God, it worked. Thank God we're having babies. Oh God, how are we going to tell our husbands this?
Oh,
I'm
that's
pregnant
amazing.
and she's pregnant.
Yeah, we're not as good at communication as you are. Our communication's fine.
It's a lot more sneaky, if you know what I mean. Let's go have sex tonight.
It. Like, what a beautiful example of a platonic relationship that's functioning with like deep trust and communication and wanting to experience things together. Like, it's not so different, right? Like, there's
it's not so different.
I'm saying it's not so different
apart. It's Yeah.
No, we said we're actually better wives, better moms, better friends because of each other. Because when you have someone to be like, this is normal, you are a better person. And I don't, when you want to beat the shit out of one topic and your husband is like, I'm exhausted from work and I don't want to hear about why the baby's crying, because they tap out too. You have your outlet. So that's true. You just figured it out to be.
I cannot imagine my life. I mean, look, I love Yair. He's like an incredible, in terms of men, he is like the most evolved, emotional, communicative, unbelievable partner. And I cannot imagine my life without Ashley. Like, I would absolutely go banana bonkers, insane. Like, so it's really, it just balances. The three of us are like this like stable foundation. It's
wow. Well, you have been such a pleasure to talk to. And I think I learned more than I thought I would walking into this podcast. And just thank you for being so honest, like authentic. And I hate that word. But
it's really, there's really not another word for it.
No, it's right? It's people stole it, but I'm giving it back to you because
that was pop psychology.
They stole it. They just made it this thing. Like, she showing up like naked online and being authentic. No, authentic is being you. So thank you.
And learning about your relationship, and
thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for sharing. And also I know that I had read somewhere that you said that there's a lot of ways that people will refer to your relationship or a triad or polyamorous in like I don't know what the word that you had said, but something like in a rude, derogatory way. And it's been really nice talking about this relationship and respecting and understanding it. Side note, because this was not about sex. I know that you know all about sex, and I read that you're a kink, and I don't fucking know what that means. I'd love to have you back on for another Friday so we can talk about sex.
Would love it. It's my other favorite topic.
Oh, what's a kink? You said you're a kink, right? When you reintroduced yourself. What? I got it wrong? What? I thought I said I'm a kink.
No.
What does that mean?
A kink is not something that you are. It's something that you have. Like, I have a kink, or like I am kinky, but it's not like a noun.
Do you talk about your kinky?
Oh, sometimes. This is where my one line is as a therapist, is that like, if my client can imagine me doing sexual things because of things that I've shared about myself, I have gone too far. So I try to like talk about it generally. I'm super, educated, and like a lot of my clients are like deep in the kink scene. So I have a lot of clinical knowledge and personal knowledge just from friends and things like that. But I try to not be specific about which things I personally participate in. But I talk about it.
We just need education in general.
I'm here for you.
Yes. I didn't know any of that, but okay.
Remember,
What
remember when we were trying to figure out what our kink was?
wasn't that a fetish?
Are they the same?
No.
Is a kink and a fetish close to the same thing?
Very close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very, very
Remember-
close. They're used
remember-
interchangeably by a lot of people.
Remember we were talking about it?
Yeah, I was trying to find out mine,
I know.
but I
What
don't,
was mine again?
can't remember.
Having sex on a bed of money?
Better money. Okay. Rachel, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you? Where would you want them to go? What do you need?
You guys are cracking me up. Instagram is definitely the best social platform. I'm at @the_Wright_Rachel. And then my website is rachelwrightnyc.com.
And your show?
And my show it's on hiatus right now, so it's like not top of my mind.
Okay.
The Right Conversations, but it is there are so many episodes to listen to. It is all about sex, relationships, and mental health and the intersection of those. So it's if you enjoyed this conversation, you'll enjoy lots of them.
Okay.
So much to learn in life. Wow. Thank you for
I hope you enjoy your pregnancy and your baby, and we'll be following along and watching your
Thank
journey.
you. Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you both.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.